Evening, folks. Off on another walk, and on a little fern frond just by this wall we have another mock viper. We've seen a few of these in the last couple videos, so I won't spend a lot of time on it, but it's a pretty example, another light brown variant. And as I'd mentioned before, these guys are mildly venomous, rear fang venomous, but harmless to humans. And they, in line with their namesake, mock vipers, so they actually appear like little vipers, and that's a deterrent for some predators. But good start to our walk. We've got a long way to go, so hopefully there'll be a few more in store for us tonight. Alright folks, we've got snake number 2. This one we've had on the vlog before, but this one's sitting really nice in here. This is a greater green snake. It's a harmless snake, a diurnal snake, and he looks like he's finding a place where he can hide out for the night. There's only 2 green snakes in Hong Kong, this and the bamboo pit viper. The pit viper we've seen quite a lot of. This one we've only seen a few, but they're interesting snakes. They're actually worm eaters. I'm sure they might eat some other stuff, but worms seem to be their main staple. And people see them out on the trails a lot during the day. They can be a little bit persecuted too because people mistake them for the bamboo pit vipers. But they're completely harmless and beautiful little snakes. So I'm not going to mess with this guy. He's set up real nice here, and we'll probably just grab a few pictures and leave him be. Okay folks, we got a pretty great development here. For those loyal viewers, you'll recognize this as a banded krait. And this one's super cool. I guess some people might say it's a little bit dirty looking in terms of the pattern, but I think it's pretty neat. If you look, these yellow bands, which are normally really high contrast yellow, actually have almost like a secondary set of black bands right in the middle. So it's a very different looking krait to the last one we found, which was much more high contrast black and yellow. Now, I've discussed these before, but I think it's worth going over again some of the details of the species. This is one of 2 krait species here in Hong Kong. The other is the many-banded krait, which we had in our last video, and who knows, maybe there'll be one in this video before we're done. And then there's the banded krait, which is this one. Now, these snakes are substantially larger than the many-banded kraits when full grown. There's been reports around different countries in Southeast Asia of these approaching 8 feet long. Certainly in Hong Kong, I've found them well exceeding a meter, and their bodies are far much more robust than the many-banded kraits. And in addition to being robust, the body's actually very much triangular in shape. It's got this massive sharp keeling. And I'll see if I can get a good angle on it here with the camera. See if we can zoom in. And if you look at these from a cross-sectional point of view, they look like a triangle. Actually a really interesting bit of morphology for this species. Now, the other thing that's interesting about these snakes is they have a defensive mechanism where they hide their heads under their body, kind of like this one's trying to do. And I'm going to see if I can just move this without freaking them out too much. But you can see here, their tails are actually rounded and nubby at the end. This isn't the result of any kind of damage or fighting. These tails are actually designed this way to look like a fake head. So they'll hide their actual head under their body, and you can see he's doing that right now. And they leave the tail out as a decoy, so whatever's attacking them will go for the tail, and they can either try and make a break for it or turn around and bite. And this is not a good snake to be bitten by. These are highly toxic snakes. Their venom is a very potent neurotoxin, and it's not something that you'd want to have to treat. But really phenomenal. I mean, we're really only like kind of a quarter of the way into our walk tonight, and we've already got the mock and the greater green and this banded krait, so really great results so far. Anyways, we're going to try and get a few shots of this guy, and then we're just going to let him on his way. Alright folks, we've just come across in this, it's just a little shallow gutter, this gorgeous juvenile banded Chinese cobra, and he's just killed this toad. And I'm not sure what he's going to do. He was already kind of moving away when we got here. Maybe he realized it's too big for him to swallow. But what an absolutely gorgeous Gorgeous banded Chinese cobra. And this is a juvenile. And they can be quite ornate like this. But wow, what a cool scene. I think we're gonna maybe try and help this guy out of the gutter. There he goes, hooding up and hissing. Okay, folks, we managed to get this little guy out of the gutter that he was in, and he'd already moved on from the toad, which made me think that he'd probably realized he'd bitten off more than he could chew. But now we've got him in typical juvenile Chinese cobra mode, which is to think that they're bigger than everybody else around them and stay hooded up hissing like this. So this is a really pretty juvenile. You can see that the body actually has some really lovely bands on it. I mean, coloration and banding is vaguely reminiscent to a king cobra, actually, so very attractive snake. Now he's making those strikes, and it's hard to say, maybe we'll be able to slow some of these down. A lot of times the Chinese cobras will give false strikes, so they move forward and hiss like they're biting, but they actually don't open their mouths, and sometimes they're actually real strikes, and you certainly don't want to take a guess on the wrong one. But this is very typical behavior for a juvenile Chinese cobra. And you can see some of the differentiation between these and the king cobras. On the Chinese cobras, they actually have these very clear, ornate hood markings. This one's got a bit of a circle or a bit of a U marking. Sometimes they have the typical monocle marking that you see on cobras around the region. Sometimes they're very ornate hood markings, but they always have a distinct marking on the back of the hood. Whereas king cobras just have bands all the way up their body, including across the back of their hood, where it's normal to have a big chevron marking instead of a more ornate hood pattern. So yeah, this is a very attractive little juvenile Chinese cobra. Very cool find. And I think we're not going to bug him too much. He's just a little guy. He needs to get off and use the rest of the night to try and get himself a meal. But cool find. And we're still very early in our walk, so who knows? Maybe we've maxed out at the beginning, but this is definitely a good start. Check back in if we get something else. Okay, folks, just had a bit of a scary situation. Walking down the path, this many-banded krait, the most toxic snake in Hong Kong, literally just slithered right between my legs. And you can see how calm they are. He's just resting off the side of the path after almost being trod on by me. So, yeah, pretty scary situation. We saw one of these in the last vlog, so I'm not going to talk too much about him, but suffices to say, this would be the last snake you'd ever want to get bit by in Hong Kong. A little bit of drama on the back end of the evening. And we are on the walk out, so we'll check back in if we see anything else, but it's a pretty crazy little moment. Okay, folks, out for another night. First snake, bamboo pit viper up on a ledge. This is the year of the bamboo. We're gonna keep at it, check back in with other stuff. Okay, folks, breezy night here. Snake number 2, we've got a decent sized female bamboo pit viper. Looks like we may be in for another night of vipers. So I think I'm going to go along, and if we're finding too many of these, I may do a quick video of each, or I may skip a few and tell you what we found, and we'll maybe try and keep an eye out for some additional species since we've been on such a hot viper streak lately. Okay, it's been a bit of a long walk, but we finally got our next snake right on the side of the path here by this leaf litter. And this is a common wolf snake. We've seen these before. Also one of our more frequent encounters. But good to see a little bit of variety tonight. I think we we must have had somewhere around 7 or 8 bamboo vipers since the last one we filmed. And yeah, it's been a long walk to get to this wolf snake. But always fun to see. Happy to be able to bump into it. But we're gonna get back on the trail, let this guy go about his business, and see if we can find anything else.